All right, we're back, and it's COMP123, and it's week 12, lesson 12, part 3. We talked about event handlers. We can share event handlers, but how do we call those puppies? Hey, how do we call those event handlers? Well, event handlers are just methods, right? So we call them the same way, right? So here's a method, whatever the method name would be, right? That's how we normally would call them. However, we have to send in this sender E method because you know what? Event handlers also need a sender to go through, right? If we don't send this sender in, it'll give you an error. So that's the one little trick to kind of calling an event handler. Let's take a look. So here's a form, an example of a form. I'm going to see if I can pull this up for you guys. Oh, it's doing some crazy stuff again. But let's just go back. Yeah, so here's a form, right? An example. So you've got this is a form called R&R for reading and refreshment. It's a company, right? And you've got a quantity of whatever in here this is your order. Do you want to take out or not? Here's your calculate selection. Here's your clear for next item. Here's your new order, right, as an example. And then here's your coffee selections, your cappuccino, your espresso, your latte, whatever, right? A couple of group boxes that are put in here. One group box, and there's a group box within a group box, right, if you notice. And then there's another group box down here as an example and some subtotals and so on, right? Okay, cool. So a couple of overlapping functions, right? We want to clear for next item, and we have this new order, right? So when I click new order, I want to use this shared event handler, but I want to call the event handler instead of me rewriting it or whatever. Sometimes it's good that I have to double click on both buttons because I need some special functionality to happen. So I want to double click on both, but I want part of the event handler to come from one, be coded in the other. How do I do that? Well, I have to call the method, if you will, right? How do I do that? Well, let's go back. So if I go back to this, if I go back to my code, whoa, it's really big. I know why. Could have done this. Oh yeah, it really messed me up there, eh? Love Microsoft, love Microsoft, love my. Okay, let's go back over here. So example would be, I want to call this message button click method, but I want to call it from my print button or something like that, some other button. How do I do that? Well, if you notice, it requires two arguments, sender and E, right? Well, if I'm calling it from this button, or this button to go to this button to print out my message, right? What's the sender? The sender is the print button. So let's do that. Let's call my message button from my print button. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go message button dot click underscore click. But I got to pass in two arguments, the sender and the E. Well, we have sender and the E because it's right here. Sender and E. So basically what I'm saying is, take this sender information and pass it on. So now when I click the print button is going to be the thing that's going to come in here from my message, my sender, and I'm going to actually print out this message, right, using message button underscore click event handler by clicking the print button. Okay, be aware of these two things, these sender and E. I need both those things when I call another event handler. Okay, click. So now I'm here. And I click the print button. Boom. Okay, so it's done. Right, it's printing. And I close this off, and boom, my message comes up, and it says, do you want to stop? Why does it say, do you want to stop? Well, because it's hitting my else. Right, it says, if this is this, message button 1. It's not me, is it? I didn't print that out, did I? You did it, didn't you? You printed out your form, right? Don't print out your form, man. Right? You can print with this feature, eh? It's not good. Don't do it. You're going to waste your money, right? Message string, do you want to continue? Do you want to stop? Well, it's going to always go to do you want to stop as a default because it's my else, right? This is my else string here. So once I go through my conditional statements here, if I say if it's going to be this, well, you know what? It wasn't message button 1. It was print button that came as the sender. That was the sender because I passed the sender from this through into my message button dot click into here to check which one it is, right? And that's why I went here to this, do you want to stop? I could correct that. I could go like this, else if right? Message button, I'll bring this up for one second. Message button selected, right? So message button selected dot name, right, is equal to message button 2, then la la la, right? Else, here's my else now, making a change. So else if it's something else, like it's not a, you know, message button that's something I'm selecting, I'm going to put in there something else. Hey, I got a question. How come it's giving me, oh, there it is. I got to go in there and kind of put in my message string, right, is equal to, well, did it print, right? And then my message title, right, is printing, right? That's it. It's kind of weird, but anyway, let's check it out and see what it goes. So I'm press, start. Let's start it out now. So now, remember, I can enact my messages here depending on what I print. So here's message 1. Do you want to continue? No. No. Message 2. Do you want to stop? Yes. Yes. Print. Okay, I'm not printing though, right? Because I just want to press the X. Because I don't want to waste my money, right? X. Boom. Did it print? Right? Detected if I came through the print button to do my message. No. No. Because you missed something. If it's printing automatically, then you didn't do your print. Your print button doesn't look like this print button. Look, see this? There's something you're missing for it to do this. Look at, take a look. I'm gonna take this away, but you need these two lines here, right? Print action is equal to system.drawing.printing.print action.print to preview, not print. Print to preview. If you don't have this, ain't gonna work. And you can't get this unless you got your Visual Basic Power Packs in place. Right? Print to preview. Cool? All right.
If I had just one print direct,
and so you don't want to print preview? Yes?
What's the second line in print button click method? The print form 1 dot print.
This actually allows you to print.
Okay.
We don't want that.
Okay.
We just want this, print to preview. Right? So if I take this away, print to preview, and I have options. There's print to file, there's print to printer, right? We don't want to print to printer, that's for sure. We want print to preview, right? Print to printer is bad. Don't do that or else you'll spend your money, you poor students. Right? Huh? Maybe you're rich students, doesn't matter, yeah.
How do you know how to navigate the print preview if you don't know systems dot?
All this? It came for me, man. When I started putting in print action and print equal, if you notice, my IntelliSense came out for me. I didn't remember this.
if I cancel print form dot print,
What?
comment on.
Print form dot action. If you cancel this one, you mean? Check it out.
Still you gotta know that it's the
If I start typing, watch what I start typing. If I go print form dot print action, right? Print action equals. If I go equals, what does it give me? What's my IntelliSense say? Look, system.drawing.printing.print action. I don't put that in. That IntelliSense suggested already. There's other options too, right? But that's the most likely option. System.drawing.printing.print action.
oh yeah, gives you like
Gives me it.
whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't do that. They did it for me. Okay. Okay. So we covered those pieces. So we covered. Oh, look at what it did to me now, huh? Killed me, man. Resized my screen. Silly Microsoft. Yeah. Well, this is important because, again, we want to be able to call up a method or a handler from inside another handler sometimes, and that's how you do it. We need the sender. Holy crap, we got to menus already. Can you believe it? Menus. All right, let's try menus. So what are menus anyway? So it's that there's a menu bar that contains menus, each of which drops down to display a list of menu items, right? Okay, cool. And then we can use the menu items in place of or in addition to buttons to execute a method. Okay, cool. I like that. And then each menu item is almost like a collection, which we're going to see in a second. And they each have their own properties, like names, texts, all this kind of stuff that we had before. So how do we do it? Well, we go like this. To create menus, we got to go to menu strip, which is under menus and toolbars, and drag and drop it onto the form. Let's try that out. So we're going to go back to our little print form, right? Oh man, I don't have a lot of space here. I better make some space for the menu. Hold on. And print out my toolbox. So here's my toolbox, and I'll kind of pin it to the side here. Close my common controls and go to menus and toolbars, and go to menu strip. See menu strip? Drag and drop that onto the form. When you do that, it puts it on the top portion of the form right now. And if you notice, there's type. It says type right here, right? And there's also a down arrow. And there's also this little smart arrow over here. See the smart arrow over here? Well, let's try this first thing. So if we're making a Windows application, all the menus should look like this. File, edit, view, whatever the other options are, help, right? That's usually how it goes. So my file menu should be my first menu because we want to stick with what it says from Microsoft. So that's my first menu. So I'm going to say file. Okay, if I want to go to the next one, I'm going to put something else like help because I don't have an edit right now, right? Help. So those are my two menu options right now, right? File and help. Okay, now I want my file menu to have a sub-menu item, right? And again, I can choose different options. I can choose a menu item, a combo box, which is a drop-down, a separator, or a text box, right? Text box. Well, I want to make it a menu item. So I want to put the menu item in there, and it's going to say print. Here's my print menu item. All right, I'm going to click on this one again. Did you not get that? I want to put my little menu item in here again, and then put a separator in there. This is my separator. And then the last item I want to put in here is another menu item, right, which is exit. So I'm going to type in exit. Oops, so exit. So I got those menu items. So file, print, and exit. That's all I can do, right? We haven't talked about exiting yet, but we will. Help right now. Okay, I'm going to put another menu item in there. If you go to help on a regular menu, oops, that's not what I wanted. Help, what do I got? I got view help, normally, right? And I got about. Let's use about. So we're going to put another one in there, kind of about. If I run this thing the way it is right now with no functionality, so I'm going to run this thing. Here it is. I got a file menu that says print and exit, and a help menu that says about, right? It comes up. But you know what? The file menu doesn't do anything, right? Neither does the exit or the help about button. Doesn't do anything right now. Doesn't do anything. If I go file, print, nothing. How do I make it do something, peoples? Come on. Double click will do it, but don't do it because then you'll make your own event handler. So what I want to do is I want to pin this to the side. If you go here to print, look at the print here, right? And instead of my printing, instead of clicking, I want to choose my event handler, which is the print button click event handler, right? That's what this is going to do. I'm choosing a shared event handler because this makes sense now for my print menu item and for my print button to be the same. Okay, let's just check that functionality out. So I run it, right, and I go over here to print, I click print, and all of a sudden, boom, my print preview comes up. And now my menu is included in my print preview. Take a look. Look, a menu is included in there, right? Okay, cool. So that, oh, I got a bit of an error, right? I got a bit of an error. It says button, message button selected, button sender. Ho, ho, ho. Right? What happened? Right? What happened? Well, it's not a button anymore. It's not a button. It's a menu item, right? And that's what's causing the sender item to misfire because when I'm sending a message button, it's going to the message button, right? Message button click. We're going to take that little functionality away because that makes no sense anyway. Right, so just delete this, please. Line 25 in my thing, which is inside the print button click event handler. And the reason why is because it's expecting for the sender to be a button. But we know that the sender now is a menu item. That's not a button, and that's what's causing the issue. Now again, you could test for that. You can say what type of, what's the sender, if it's a button or whatever, and then send that sender across, right, or whatever. Or don't send it if it's not, if my print button, whoever clicked my print button, whatever sender click my print button, if it's a menu item, then don't send it to here. If it's not a menu item, then send it to there. But you know, to keep it simple, stupid, let's just leave it alone, right? Let's take it away. So I'm just going to kind of kill this message button click call. All right. So again, if I run this thing again, right? If I click on File, Print, here I am. If I close this down, it's not going to go there anymore, and the messages won't come up either way. Okay, cool. I want, when I click my Help button, About, to come up with a special message that says, you know, the name of the person, you know, kind of stuff. This is a test program, something like that, like a little About box, right? Okay, cool. So let's do that. So I go back in there. Let me just unpin these, right, for a second. I go back into the form. I'm going to go into my Help, About. Now I'm going to double click. Okay, now it creates this thing. Look what it says here. Private void About tool strip menu item click. That's a big long event handler, huh? About tool strip menu item click. So this, when this happens, I'm going to pop up a message box. So message box dot show, and it's going to say this is a test program, right? And then \n. Thank you for using. Right, that's my first thing. And then my title bar is going to be something like this. It's going to say about. And I'm not going to have a any kind of buttons. But if I don't specify buttons, what happens? This OK button comes up, right? Well, what if I specify none? Can that happen? Message buttons. Sorry. Message box buttons dot. Can I specify none? Abort, retry, enter. OK, cancel, retry, cancel, yes, no, cancel. So it's going to be the OK button, right? I'm not going to put it, I could put an icon, right? So I can say message buttons, message box icon, and I'm probably going to put the info, right? Information. Because that makes sense for a message box to come up with that. Let's try this out. So go here, blah, blah, blah. Put over here, and then press Help, About. This is a test program. Thank you for using. Yeah? So it does something now. There's one more. We have to do something with the exit. So what does the exit do? Well, it actually exits the program. How do I exit the program? Come on, Smarty. I want to hear your answer. Application.exit. Okay. I like that. Let's try that out. See if you're right. So when I go over here to File, go to Exit, double click, right? Gives me this private void exit toolstrip menu item dot underscore click, and I want to do an application dot exit. Right? Application dot exit. This should exit program, right? Let's see if this works. So I'm going to run it now. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go File, Exit, and it shuts down. Right? Yeah.
Can you make a message box?
Are you sure you want to close? I was waiting for that, man. Thank you. All right? Let's try that out. All right? So how do we do this? So we're going to say this. Are you sure you want to close for the message box? So message box. We want to do this, right, but we want to get the response, right? So if we're going to do message box dot show, you know, are you sure, right? And then the title is let's make it the same. Are you sure? Right? And we're going to get the message box buttons. That was a great segue. We're going to say OK or cancel. We'll use those. Right? and the message box icon, right? Which one should it be? Asterisk, exclamation. I think an exclamation might make sense, right? Or warning. Oh, warning. Warning, you're about to actually exit the program. If you don't do that, okay, cool, let's try this first. It's going to exit anyway, right? For a second. But we need to get something back from this. I want to see if you guys can remember what it is, right? So I'm going to go here, file, file, exit. It's going to say, hey, are you sure? And then it says this warning symbol, and I say okay, and then it exits anyway. So how do I do that? Remember, I need to do this dialog result, right? So I might as well use the same variable name. I like that. Dialog result, return dialog result. Let's put that back down here. Right? That's my variable name. And I can say this. Return dialog result is this. Return dialog result is equal to this message box.show blah blah blah. Right? That's what this is. And then depends on what my dialog result is, I exit or I don't. So how do I know that? Well, let's go back up and see what I need. So here's my return dialog result. If, what does it say? My dialog result is yes. I'm going to almost take this whole thing, right? Let's take this right here. So I'm going to copy this piece. That's why I reuse the same code, right? If my dialog result is equal to dialog, not yes, dialog.ok, right? Because that's a different one. Then exit the program. Exit the program, right? Otherwise, do nothing. Just cancel, right? Won't do anything. Won't exit nothing. It'll show the message dialog box once and it's gone. It's very good, Tim. Very good. So if I run this thing, let's try it out now. I go to File, Exit. Are you sure? Right? If I press Cancel, it does nothing. If I go File, Exit. Are you sure? Yes. Cancels out, right? These things should be intuitive. The things we're doing here, it should make sense. Like, you know, the flow of what we're doing. It's just, a menu strip is like, treat them like buttons, each of the menu items, right? If you double click onto them, you can use them. You can make them shared event handlers, right? That's also something you can do. One more thing to show you before we stop with menu items and menus in general, I think, is when you're designing the menu, you have a couple options. If I click on the menu strip itself, take a look. Right now, we didn't name the menu strip. We should probably name the menu strip and make it its own, right? So we're going to go to Properties. This is called Menu Strip 1, right? And we're going to call this print form menu strip because we didn't rename it. Here's my print form menu strip, right? There's a lot of options here, guys, in terms of how you can configure it, the layout style, right? There's horizontal stack with overflow. There's different kinds of layout styles you can experiment with. Different margins and padding you can add in there. There's definitely file and help. Right now, file and help is fairly small. I can change, and I will, my font size. Instead of 9, I want to make it 14, make it big, right? See how that looks. Here, this is my big menu now, right? Move these buttons down a little bit. So I changed my font size. This is for the actual menu strip. I have to click on the menu strip to get the properties here. And then, you know, other options here that you can choose, right? Here's my text. This text, menu strip 1, is never showing, right? Because there is no menu strip 1 text here. So I could get rid of it. It's not going to hurt, right? And the other thing is this little arrow on the right-hand side, right here, next to the top portion of the menu, right? That's the smart arrow. If I click that, it says, how do I want to render this thing? I can manage or render mode. I can dock to the top. I can dock anywhere I want the menu, right? It says also my grip style. My grip style is hidden, or I can make it visible so you can detach the menu, right? So I can undo my grip style. I can open up my grip style. And I can also go to Edit Items. If I click Edit Items down here, right, it gives me this other dialog box. And this is cool. What it allows me to do is look at each individual menu item. So here's my menu item. If I go to, I can add stuff here, right? because right now I'm looking at my print form menu strip, and I have my file tool strip menu item, right? And I have my help tool strip menu item, right? Well, actually what it is if I double click here or whatever, there's actually sub menu items I'm not seeing here, right? How do I get to that? Well, if I look on the right, if I look, see my file tool strip menu item, and you go to the right here, behavior, data, oh, there's a drop down items here as a collection. Look right here under data. See drop down items? If I click that, I get my drop down items like this. So I can see like, here's what my tool strip drop down menu item is going to look like for, for this particular thing, this file tool strip menu item, right? And you notice, right, it takes on a custom name that makes sense, file tool strip menu item, right? If I click on print, because I called it print, it's called the print tool strip menu item. So I can actually call them up according to that. There's also a tool strip separator 1. So if I want to move that tool strip separator, I want to play with the items, I can do that. I can remove it. And on the right here is specific actions you can take in terms of color, in terms of all these other properties you can have here, as an example for each of the items. So you can go through this way as well. Now, this is also available through here. So if I click on this, click on print, and go to properties, then I see the same properties that I normally do through that other way, right? Like for example, let's say I want to make my exit background. Here's my exit background. I go to properties, right? And if you don't see the fore color is black, well, my back color, I want to make it red because I want to make it so that you exit this program, you're in trouble, right? So I can just click on my back button or go down here and choose my web colors, right? And choose red, right? So make my item red. Here it is. And now when I click onto it and run it, right, it doesn't look like it's red now, but if I click onto it, there's a red item here, which is exit, right? Here's my red item. So without telling Microsoft what to do, it understands what a menu is. The menu strip is, it's got built-in controls. If you notice on the bottom, look down here. Even though we had a print form 1, now down here we have another item called the print form menu strip down here. If I click on this item over here, right, I could certainly delete it, which would take away my functionality. It would actually delete my menu item over here, my menu strip. That's bad. Don't be doing such things. Okay, so leave those alone. Leave this. If it appears because I told it to. Again, if I click onto this thing, I go into properties, right? Here's my menu strip. I see all the properties from my menu strip. Whether I click up here or click down here, it's the same. I get the properties. Guys and girls, there are several additional controls and different things and different properties that are associated with each control that I'm not covering. I could cover one control all day. We did that before with just one control, right? I can't. I don't have time for that. So I'm going to move on. All right? So you understand menus in a nutshell. Let's just go over here and see what we got. All right, so we did this piece. See what else we did. Yeah, we talked about those things. And, oh, this is interesting. If you want to give in your text for your menu item, if you want to give a shortcut key, right? You can do that by putting, if you want to make it like as an example, Control and F, right? Or Alt F as an example, right? You can use the ampersand in front of the character. So example would be this. My file, typically file, the F on file like it is up here, right? There's typically an underline under there. So for example, if I click my Alt button, mine doesn't work. But if you click your Alt button, see if my Option button is my Alt button. See how the underscore appears, right, under all the items? That's because that's the shortcut key. If I go Option F, it pulls up my file menu. Yours would be Alt F, right? Well, what if I want to do the same thing here? I want to use my function keys to do that, right? Well, I can do that by going Properties, I have to click on the file itself, right? So properties. If I go down here where it says file, beside file, put an ampersand in front of the letter. So go ampersand, right? And now if you notice, I got this underscore in front of file. Same thing with help. Help is an H, right? So I'm going to go properties, ampersand, enter, right? Same thing with print,
What
right?
if you want to
Properties,
use your own?
you can. Ampersand, print. Exit is the X. This is interesting. Click exit, properties, or is it X? I can't remember the E. I can check that by going here. So I go file, and if you notice, exit has, and the X, yeah. So properties, in front of the X now, you put the ampersand. Right, there it is. Then the X goes there, right? And what about help? About. Help, about. And if I press option, I can't get it on mine because mine won't work. What's the option? What's the one for about? So there's probably another one. You can make it whatever you want, like B for about or whatever. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to leave it the way it is. Okay, so if I run this now, right, run this thing, and if I go option, look, it comes up. In the menu option, F, right, X. It says, are you sure? Right, so you can use your shortcut keys there too. Okay, but what if you want custom shortcut keys? Well, you can do that too, right? Print, maybe that'll be Control P, right? So go to properties, right? And there's tooltip text. We'll talk about that in a second. And there's shortcut keys. See how it says none? I can choose a control, right, plus a character. Like, for example, my print will be a Control P. So I go to Control P, right? Control P. And it shows up, Control P, like this, right? And then Control X. Well, that's kind of weird, right? Maybe Shift Control X to exit, right? Because that Control X is like cut for me, right? So here, I print this out, I go to Properties, I go to Shortcut Keys, and I go Control Shift X. That'll exit, right? Control Shift X. And, you know, for help, Control H makes sense, right? So let's do that in there too, shortcut keys. Control plus H. And we'll leave the about with no shortcut key. So if you notice now, if I run this thing, it gives me some help, right? File is Control Shift X, Control P, and help is nothing, right? So if I go Control and P, I don't know if mine will work. It does. Control P comes up, right? For print.
I'll have a shortcut key.
Gotta add it in, man. Gotta add it in. Gotta change it. Go to shortcut key. When you print on these things here, you click on them, on the actual menu items themselves. It'll come in. Shortcut keys. Look. So I go properties, shortcut keys. It's an order, right? Shortcut keys. Now it says show shortcut keys. If I want to show them on the menu, right? If I press true, then you can see them. If I press yes, they won't be seen. And I can hide them individually. So I can go print. Maybe I don't want to show the shortcut key for exit, just in case, because it's too long, right? So I say, well, you know what? I don't want to show this when it's false. It's there, but I don't want to show it. So that's what these things are. These are these little cool little things, so that way if you want to make your menu mean something, it's cool. What about this tooltip text? Tooltip text, right? So I click on File, right? And I want hover over Exit, right? So here's Exit, and I want some tooltip text for Exit. What can I do here? I can actually put in, you know, click to exit, right? I'm actually typing that in here under tooltip text. Okay, cool. I'm going to run it and see if that works. So File, I'm going to hover over tooltip text and it says click to exit. It's a little tooltip that comes up, right? Context sensitive tooltip, where I am, right? And every time I hover over it again, watch, it'll come up again. Click to exit. So lots of little built-in things. You have to do nothing to do. It's all on the GUI side, all on the design side. There's no coding here whatsoever, right? And it's kind of cool, right? Kind of cool. You can make up your form nice. Let's exit. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, we're almost done for this section. We talked about the name property, that the properties vary. We went into this items collection because each of the items you can go into with a little smart button. You can control them this way. I'll leave you to read some of these submenus and separator bars. If I want to get you guys to try a menu, I've got an example here about creating this stuff. If you want to follow along, not now, but this is do. If you want to check this out, it's up on the PowerPoint presentation, right? How to kind of put together this, help item about my project. All that kind of stuff is what we've done before. And you can also enable it or disable it, the menu item itself, to kind of, or the whole menu. You can also add checked or unchecked. If you have multiple items you want to check or uncheck. So different items here that I want you can explore, certainly you can explore yourself. It's very, very cool, right? And you can turn things off like color on and off, all kinds of stuff that we cannot cover because we have no time, right? And again, I did cover standards for menu items, but I'll say it again. File, edit, view, format, and help are the most common that you'll see every time when you create Windows applications. And I recommend you stay to it so the people who use your menu items know what the hell they're doing, right? Because otherwise they'll be like, hold on, this is totally whacked. I don't know where my file menu is. And it's a Windows application, for God's sake, right? So make it the same. Keep it the same as other Windows applications so that way people know how to use your program. Okay, that's it for me for today. It's 2:30 almost, or 2:16. Let's get back tomorrow, and tomorrow hopefully I'll have time to talk about collections. I'd like to try and talk about lists a little bit with you guys, but that'll be it for today.